When we think unions, the next thing we usually think is strikes. That's what we see today with Amazon, and more notably, the SAG-AFTRA strikes of 2023. The longest lasting strike in Hollywood history, by the way. And what was that strike about again? Oh yeah, big production studios implementing artificial intelligence anywhere and everywhere they can. And for what? To make profits even more bigger. Like most things AI has been forced into, it was never meant to actually make things better. In Hollywood, it was to replace actors and writers. Automation, in a very broad sense, was meant to make the industry work faster, make it easier to churn out movies, and to make money. But Solidarity Summer was many summers ago at this point. In 2026, we are in this economic AI limbo. We've been hearing about this AI bubble that is going to burst, a bubble that is similar to the housing market Great Recession of 2008-2009. Another economic bubble will burst. The big problem is that nobody knows how this is going to affect the economy. Nobody knows exactly how AI is going to change the job market, how it's going to change industries. There's a lot of testing, a lot of trial and error happening right now. We hear a lot of AI can do this, AI can replace that, AI has the potential for this. But have we really seen AI completely take over, completely replace an entire job sector? I don't think so. Either way, AI is here to stay. What do we do? Let's look at the aspects of how AI can affect the Inland Empire. Ideally, warehouses would be the first things to be automated away, right? Which is bad news for job prospects here in the Inland Empire. However, there's still jobs. There's people that have to make these deliveries. There's people that have to prepare the orders. There's people that have to stock the inventory. There is still very much a need for labor in these sectors. And with that comes the classic employee-employer dilemma. In the most basic of explanations, if the employer wants to be smart, they would say, my goal is to get as much work as possible out of this person, out of this employee, paying them as little as possible. And if you're a smart employee, you would say, how little can I work for the most amount of pay? It just goes both ways. It's transactional. It's so transactional, but it's okay. This is business. Everything is transactional in one way or another. Even though things can feel so icky when they're this apparently transactional, once we know that it is a transaction and not a gift, we can navigate this situation a lot better. Let's take this back to warehouses. Local politicians have played this balancing act very well, with IE residents' lives and warehouse developments. The false promises that these things were going to bring more jobs aside, politicians have promised so much opportunities with warehouses. These politicians are playing Minecraft with how fast they are developing the land into warehouses. I've been told that taxes are the main benefits. Either that, or these politicians are getting kickbacks from the developers. But I digress. Back to union organizing and labor in the IE. The purpose of this video is to share the story of the president of one of the largest unions in Southern California and the largest union in the Inland Empire. Teamsters 1932 was the first union I was able to join. Though I was only a dues-paying Teamster for a short period of time, President Kathleen Brennan is always quick to remind me, once a Teamster, Angelina, always a Teamster. I was lucky enough to have a union focused on LGBT rights. Kathleen was a founding member of the union and the LGBT plus support committee, which is where I first met Kathleen. The best way I can sum up my feelings about her is this. The little girl that I was would have idolized the hell out of Kathleen. Part of growing up that I want to remind the younger audience is that those of us with the birth year that starts with 19 couldn't just chat GPT or Google any question we had. At these crucial points in our youth, we couldn't just look things up. Us elder gays had to figure all this shit out in God knows how. But like everything in life, aren't the most compelling stories usually the ones most worth hearing? That's my goal with this interview you're about to watch. Consider this interview the first in a series of pieces where you can join me in learning about some of the biggest, most important, and notable people with real influence in the IE. This union president is not only one of the few labor union presidents in the country who are female, Kathleen is also gay. And had you told this little girl that she could have grown up to live the kind of truly fulfilling life that Kathleen has cultivated for herself, I probably wouldn't have hated the IE as much. That's why I simply have to share her story. So please enjoy this initial exploratory conversation I had with Kathleen Brennan. It'll be the first of many, so be sure to subscribe to catch my next in-depth interview with another influential political figure in California's Inland Empire. So, welcome in, everyone. We have Kathleen Brennan with us today. She is the president of Teamsters Local 1932, but more important than that, she is a San Bernardino County employee. How are you today?
Hey, I am honored to be here, Angelina. Honestly, I'm just so touched that you wanted to interview me. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to impress or put people to sleep, but you know what? Regardless, honored.
Teamsters 1932 is like the biggest union in San Bernardino County.
Yeah,
You guys have over 1,600 people that you or members, right?
16,000.
16,000. Sorry, I always get
Yeah,
my
that's
zeros
right.
messed up. I know that it's a public sector,
Yeah,
which
mostly.
I'm kind of learning the difference between public sector and private sector, right?
Right, right.
And it seems like public sector is where unions thrive today, you know?
Today, yes,
And
yes.
so, how much of 1932 is private, like sector employees or a
Yeah,
little
we
bit?
we are, and we're pushing for Amazon. I mean, that's going to be our eventually, and we will succeed. Amazon will become Teamsters, and that will be, I'm sure it will totally take over the number of public employees that we have. But currently, right now, we're about 95% public employee.
Wow.
We're public employee heavy, but yeah, we definitely want to change that. We definitely want to organize those warehouse workers. And I tell all the kids that I talk to, my nieces and nephews, and just anybody in general, is the only way to ensure you have dignity and respect in the workplace is a union contract, period. And if you're worried about the color of your skin, the gender, your sexual orientation, religion, if you don't have a union contract, you're going to be in some trouble, period.
That's how I first kind of learned about unions was what's the most surefire way to end the gender pay gap? It's unions.
Yes,
It's
union,
unions.
unions.
You literally
I'm
see
telling you what, man, they've been leveling the playing field since, well, Teamsters since 1903. And I'll
19.
tell you what, they had their first colored blind contract
Oh wow.
under Dan Tobin. Yeah, yeah, fellow Irishman. But
That's right.
not that it matters, but
Hey,
it's just
no, I
kind of
mean,
cool.
I got Italian last name. I always gotta rep my
You
Italian
know,
stuff, so
yes,
you know.
yes.
All right, so getting into the next question. Are you native to the Inland Empire or
Yeah, I
yeah?
actually was born and raised in Corona, little town. It was a little town back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And man, what a amazing upbringing in a little town in the Inland Empire. So I've been here my entire life.
Dang.
Um, Moved out briefly. I went to Texas for 6 months. Wouldn't recommend. Wouldn't recommend, especially as an LGBTQ person. I mean, and this was back in the uh, late 90s, early 2000s. So it was
Oh wow.
much better now, but it was a lot different then too. But yeah, I've lived here my whole life. Love it.
So you grew up in Corona and now you're living in
Riverside.
you're in Riverside.
It is. It is. I'm literally down the road from San Bernardino. It
Yeah.
takes me 15 minutes, to get to the local, so not
Yeah.
bad.
Like for me personally, I've had a struggle with the Inland Empire. Like I've always felt like going back to being LGBT, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is not really a place for me. But now that
Right.
I'm living here again, I'm like, this is actually great. My girlfriend loves the area. It's like the perfect place to start a family. Like
Yes.
what makes the Inland Empire special to you?
Man, I've lived here my whole life. Like I said, growing up in Corona, it was a small town. Everybody knew everybody. But since I've been involved in the union, we've been a part of helping get several LGBTQ candidates elected here locally in the Inland Empire.
Great.
Aaron Edwards in Riverside, Denise Davis in Redlands. We've supported Mark DeCano. And that for me has personally made me realize like I'm right where I need to be. And there was a time like you that I felt like the Inland Empire was kind of like, not as progressive as LA or Long Beach and things like that. But it's turned around in the last 2 decades. Boy, oh boy, has that changed. It's
Yeah.
shifted.
Yeah, last
And I
few
want to be a part of
decades.
that shift. So that's why I stay and fight and continue to help those amazing leaders like Denise Davis and Aaron Edwards get elected. Good human beings.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
I'm
them both.
working to get Denise Davis on the stream,
Oh,
but we'll get there. So it sounds like you've been with 1932 since the founding, right?
correct, correct. It's an interesting story.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have to share. You'll have to share it.
I grew up, my dad was a Teamster, my grandpa was a Teamster, but they didn't really talk about it with us. They didn't really emphasize the importance of it. I'd hear stories, and my uncle Frank was steelworkers. And come to find out after his passing that he was at one time, I think, a president elected
Oh wow, that's
himself.
cool.
I know. So I got to
Sneaking
do a
in the
little bit of digging
family.
to find out, but it doesn't surprise me because my Uncle Frank was just such a cool guy. And he was always the liberal and my grandpa was the, total conservative Republican and my Uncle Frank, they'd fight all the time. But looking back now, I go, oh, that tracks. That really tracks. But yeah, so it wasn't until became involved in the affiliation to become Teamsters that I really and took the LA Trade Tech classes that we were offering at the time. Oh my gosh, my mind was just like I knew I always wanted to serve and help people my entire life. I growing up until high school, people laugh I was going to be a nun. I swear to you. I'm not kidding. I know
No,
everyone
why do I
laughs. I'm
have a
like,
similar story?
do you
I
really?
was just talking about this the other day with my girlfriend, but I was like, at the time I didn't know I could be gay, so I was just like, okay,
Yeah,
this
there
is
was an
what women
option.
do who don't want to marry
Yes.
men, they become nuns.
Yes, I didn't want to be with a guy, and I knew that from the time I could talk. So the only other option in a Catholic upbringing and was to be a nun.
Hell
And my uncle was
yeah,
a priest. That
service.
yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like
No,
the
absolutely
more
not.
people should pursue that path, and it's never too late. I didn't know this, but I guess apparently as an adult you can still go and become a nun even after you've been a lesbian or straight. It
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah.
So it's never too late. But yeah, that was always knew I wanted to serve. But when I started to get involved in the union and realizing the history and taking those classes and really educating myself, that's when I realized this is how I'm going to help people.
That's
Um,
awesome. And it's
so
been
yeah,
how many years of service or how many years since Local 1932 started?
10 years.
10
Well, yeah,
years.
10 years officially this year. Yeah, this is our
Dang.
10th year. And yeah, it feels like yesterday. I'm not kidding you. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? How do you do both full-time county IT and president? And I'm just like, I don't know. I just do. And it's because when you're loving what you're doing, I did have a chief and I love him to death. He's still one of my favorites. Tell me when I first got involved in the union, he pulled me in his office and said, man, I wish you'd be as excited about working here as you are when you're doing your union stuff. And I looked at him and he goes, no, no, no. He goes, I don't mean it in a bad way. He goes, you're an amazing worker. He said, when you talk union, he's like, you light up. You just light up. He goes, I can't explain it. He's like, it made me chuckle, but
But no,
yeah.
that's you're doing the thing, have a
Yeah.
job and also a passion that pays you well.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. And I'll tell you what, everybody can do this. And this is what I always encourage you guys. Like I'm always bringing people with me to whatever, strike lines or if I can take you to certain meetings, with, like the ABD conventions coming up, we're going to take a ton of members with us. I want everyone to understand that anyone can do this. Anybody can do this. And guess what? They're going to need a president because I'm going to retire. I'm getting old. I'm in the 50s.
oh, that was gonna be
So,
my next question. For the political science nerds that watch the channel, is there term
yes.
limits on your presidency in the union?
You
Or
know
like
what? I know this is going to be so controversial to say this,
mm-hmm.
but there is not.
Ah.
And I am of the mindset that there should be. And
Ah.
here's why. There was just a gentleman that got in some trouble, and he was a lifelong, elected official in the
Mm-hmm.
union. And not all of them. There's so many amazing elected officials that have been around forever, like Randy Kamik. Oh my God, love the man, love him. But he's rare. There are rare people like Randy Corgan and Randy Kamek who truly are unionists at heart, 100%. But not everybody's like that get into this, and then they get to the power and the money, and they just get stupid.
Yep.
So I feel like, yes, there should be term limits. I think, but again, Randy has a very good argument when it comes to term limits, and he's not wrong, but just part of me feels like maybe there should be. But again, the members need to be a little bit more active also, because it's ultimately them who put those people in office.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention, and if you're not voting, and if you're not, then you're allowing them to just continue to get reelected. If you fall asleep, like a lot of our members do, like, I'm going to be honest, not that many votes come in for our elections as should be. Like, we should be having like upwards of 10, 11, 15,000, and that's not the case. And I'll be the first one to say it. That's why I don't take this position lightly.
Yeah. I mean, is in normal elections, I mean, the national elections, it's only like 50% people vote, right? When it comes down to it, if you're not active in it, you're not going to participate. But yeah,
100%.
So that's interesting. I just had to ask because, like,
I love that question. I love the question. And I want my whole goal before I retire is I want people to get engaged in their union, get involved, pay attention.
Yeah.
And if something isn't right, say something, do something. This is your union. Yeah. This isn't the executive board's union. It's not the business agents. It's you, the members. Like, this is your house. And if things aren't right, clean it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And that's a big difference that compared to like regular politics, right?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
When I try to contact you can never like call up your state senator, right?
Right.
But like, you try to contact your representative. It's a long process. Yeah.
I have to say, Eloise Reyes Gomez, you can always get in touch with her people her. She's amazing, but she's not like most politicians. They're the gems. She's a gem.
Yeah. So. The people that like you who are like, I want to do this because I feel the need to serve my community. Right.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk about warehouses, right? You saw the Kimberly Clark paper product warehouse that was set ablaze allegedly by an employee.
Yeah, allegedly, right?
Allegedly, when the video was leaked of the supposed employee of himself lighting the things on fire, and he was the phrase "you should have paid us more." Was just crazy. When I first saw the video, I was like, okay, maybe this might be fake. AI, we're in the age of AI video, right?
You don't know what to believe anymore.
But
true.
The one thing that came to my mind when I was watching the video was having a union put so many buffers in between taking that crazy action, right?
Yes, exactly. No, I look, after we get off this interview, I have a coworker I have to call because I'm helping him work through some things. And that's, he doesn't have to stress out because I'm there. And if I'm not there, our business agent's there or the other stewards are there. And, we work with each other. We have each other's backs. And if you're struggling, we're going to help you get through whatever it is you're struggling with. And that's what and these poor workers that are being treated and worked to death, worked to the bone, they don't have any of that. They don't have any support, someone on the back end to, help them out when they're struggling in different areas.
Thankfully no one was hurt or injured.
Correct.
It already has been being compared online with the Luigi Mangione situation that more people are going to start
revolting.
Just taking actions on their own. And it's like, we gotta redirect that. And I think labor unions is one of the best ways,
It is. We're the answer. We are the answer to many of the world's problems. And I know people laugh when I say that aren't union, but when they listen to what I have to say and I go through the history and I explain some of the fights and the battles, that a lot of what they get to appreciate today and the privilege that they have to work an 8-hour day, 40-hour work week, get paid overtime, have OSHA regulations, all that was unions. So you're benefiting from what unions have done over the last 100 years. So it's just educating each other and making sure that we all are doing our part to educate one another. And, hey, I understand where you're coming from because that's kind of what I thought too. But here's the truth. Here are the facts. Here's the real narrative. And that's really what Randy Corgan has been trying to do since he became 1932 is change that narrative. with facts, with real facts and truth. And, let's lift up this region. Let's give people hope. This country was founded on revolting. It's Boston Tea Party. You know what I
Yup.
mean? Like
Yup.
that's what and so in many ways, do I agree with what he did, lighting the fire? No. But again, this country was founded on pushing back, fighting back, and saying enough's enough. And he was trying to say enough's enough. Obviously, the way he went about it wasn't great, but I understand it.
Yeah. So when are you guys gonna go try to unionize the Kimberly Clark organization?
Right? Oh boy. You know what? Truthfully, I think that is probably heavily underway right now. And if I
Dang,
know
that's great.
we have amazing organizers at the local and throughout the IBT. I'm not taking away from anybody else, but if you met Raquel Avila, one of our organizers, she's amazing. She's amazing. And what I love about Raquel is she's a lot like me. She didn't think she had what it took to be an organizer. And she would doubt herself all the time and tell me, I don't know if I'm that good. I think Randy just took a chance on me because we're friends, blah, blah, blah. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know why? Because it's in her heart. In her heart to change lives and to help lift up people. And when you are coming from a genuine place of trying to lift people's lives up and help them and secure better wages and benefits, you're going to be successful. People can see when people are genuine and when they're full of what.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's for sure.
but I hope she's out there. In fact, I'll have to touch base with her after this and see. But somebody's out there trying to organize for sure.
But a Pew research that said unions are the most favorable in public opinion than they've ever been, but
Yes,
union membership is pretty low. And it's like, man, I personally want to figure out what's
how
the
do we fix it?
disconnect, like I
Yeah,
know back then, it was easier to organize because everyone was in the same factory floor, right?
yeah, it's a lot of disconnect. You're right. There really is. And I think it goes beyond the workplace. Like how many people really know their neighbors and hang out with their neighbors. It's changed since I was a kid. All the parents knew each other. We'd have barbecues. Parents would come out and play kickball with us. And,
Dang.
we'd it was just such a different time. And there was that connection. And we've
This
gotten
was
away
in
from that.
Corona? No,
This
I'm
was
just
in Corona, girl.
I'm just kidding.
I'm
I'm
telling you,
being
man.
snobby.
No,
But
Old Mill Road, man. That's where
yeah,
I grew up, and it was a great place to grow up. And I still stay in touch with some of the kids we grew up with on
that's
Facebook.
awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it was a different time, and there was a connection, and it was interesting because everybody was your parent on that street. Like,
Heck
let me
yeah.
tell you what, man. If I did something dumb, I was gonna get it, and I was gonna get it until all the way home, and then get home, and I was like, oh great, mom and dad.
Yeah.
So and everyone had that permission, and it was like everyone looked after one another, and there was that connection, and you wanted to hang out with each other. And I don't know, honestly, I don't have an answer as to why we got away from that, but we got to get back to caring about one another and wanting to have those relationships and friendships.
Yeah. I personally think I'm a big advocate for the third space, and I think the third space should be the union hall, right?
Oh, I like
So
that. I like
yeah,
that.
like because the big third space back then for
It's
people
cool.
older, it was like church, right? It was church
Yeah.
or bowling
That
club, you know.
100%. No,
So
that is the third place. I love that.
yeah,
I've never
yeah.
heard that term, and I'm going to use that from now
There you
on
go. Well,
because
so the first place is your home, second
yeah,
place is your job, and then, especially as Southern Californians who commute everywhere,
yeah.
the third place is our car, or, we don't really do anything else, right? Yeah,
That
so
is such a great. Wow, I love it. I love it. I
of
agree
course.
with you. I think the third place should be your Union Hall.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that unions collaborate with each other, but like I
Yes.
mean I've seen the podcast that you and Randy do, and you guys had one of the union leaders from Hollywood area. I forget what her name
Oh,
was.
Lindsay Doherty.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so I wanted to ask what like other organizations or labor activists in the area that you kind of want to put a spotlight in that I could look into more because
Oh
I'm
man. There's so many amazing leaders out there. We try to spotlight them at our women's conference every year
mm,
and bring those folks in. But Lourdes from 572 out in Redondo Beach. Amazing,
yeah.
amazing woman. And she's the first female principal, officer, and president local ever.
Wow.
But she, I don't know, not many people know this, but when we were first trying to get the LGBTQ caucus for the Teamsters up and running, she was on the board.
Oh,
She
heck yeah.
volunteered and ran to be on the board and was instrumental in getting the caucus up and running. Because at that time, there was a woman who was trying to get it going. It was just her and one other person, and they could never get a local to host a conference. They could never raise money. And it was sad. And so when we became Teamsters, we saw her at the very first females conference, our women's conference, and she had little boots and a little table with some shirts on it. That's all she had, and nobody was. And we watched people walk by and kind of like, ooh, like they were scared to go by her table.
Hmm.
And so, and for me, it was, the first year we became Teamsters, I had no idea there was such a thing as an LGBTQ caucus for Teamsters. So, went over and introduced myself and we got involved. And then Lourdes just volunteered. She rolled up her sleeves and she realized that, we needed to get this up and running. And just an awesome lady, and she was the lawyer for 572 and
Oh, wow.
president.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, she's a smart lady. And,
I'll have to look her up on the stream
oh,
here. Yeah.
she's just such an amazing human being on top of that. Just the nicest, but don't mistake her kindness for weakness. She is tough.
Yeah.
She's been through a lot in her life. And but yeah, I mean, there's just so many amazing leaders out in this area that do amazing things for workers and just the community in general.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Do you feel like, especially with this like anti-DEI stuff that's been being
yeah,
pushed by the federal administration and stuff, do you think that maybe with that narrative going, there could be some negative perception on LGBT? I don't know. I mean, it's crazy how powerful the whole
yeah.
Department of Government Efficiency, like, and they didn't actually make it more efficient.
Right,
But
right. No, quite the opposite, really. It's, obviously the whole point of, the push for, taking down that, the DEI and doing away with all that is to, again, I hate to say it, to elevate the white male population of this country.
yeah,
That's all it's about. And anybody who says different, well, you must be a white male because, when you haven't been on that receiving end of not getting your fair shake or not being treated as an equal, you'll never understand. I had a couple of gentlemen that had approached me after I became president and they had said, hey, Kathleen, we see that there's a Hispanic caucus, an LGBTQ caucus, a National Black caucus. Um, we want a white boy caucus.
oh man,
And I said, yeah. And I said, look, guys, I said, you do realize why these caucuses exist, right? Well, no. And I'm like, well, it's to ensure that we have an equal seat at the table. What about us? I said, you guys built the
you
table.
guys,
You've owned the table. Like
that's
literally, you
good.
built it, you
Yeah,
owned it. We just want a seat. And until we have a fair seat at the table, we're equals, then there won't be a need for any of these caucuses. And they never came to me again and asked for it ever again.
interesting.
So, and I happen to work with one of the fellas
Dang,
and we get along great.
that's
But
good.
it was just put it in that perspective and making them understand. It's not because we just want to, we're not hanging out and just woo, yay. No, it's so that we can bring awareness to the struggles and issues and inequities that we experience on a daily
Yeah,
and try to come up with solutions to, fix those and to make it more equitable. That's it. That's all it is. And so,
yeah.
yeah, when I put it to them that way that, basically they built the table, they've owned the table, they're like, how can you argue with that? It's a fact.
I would say we had an entire movement in 2016 of, the white males who were like,
Yeah.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
And I hate to look at it. I mean, of course, I feel sorry for a lot of people because a lot of those people
Sure.
in the Rust Belt, the Bible
Right.
Belt, they all used to have good unionized jobs. Maybe not all unionized, but they had jobs that gave them some upward social mobility, and now we
Sure.
have nothing. Well, not
Right.
necessarily nothing, but it's dramatically reduced.
Yeah.
And
And
go
the
ahead.
funny thing about those Rust Belt states and areas, they're all right to work. So they've kind of
Yeah,
shot themselves in their own foot
it's
by allowing
crazy.
it to become right to work. So let's fight to overturn that first. Number one, I always tell when I meet anybody from those areas that, oh, poor me. Okay, you're in a right to work state. How did that happen? Like, what are you doing to fix that? Like, let's be real. It can be fixed. We can resolve these issues, but stop feeling sorry for yourself and blaming the other minority groups because that's what they like to say. Oh, it's all these illegals or it's all blah blah. And it's like, oh, stop it. No,
Yup.
no, no, no. No, 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 no. I'm not gonna let you put the blame somewhere else. You're no. Let's have some accountability and then let's do the work. Roll up your sleeves and work with us.
I don't know if we'll be able to get those factory manufacturing jobs back like tomorrow, the
Not to,
it is
yeah,
is
yeah.
complicated,
It is. It
the
is.
whole offshoring and outsourcing has done a lot of I don't want to say irreparable damage, but it's done a lot to the American labor force, and it's just like we're so fragmented now. And but
We are.
um, so at least here in the Inland Empire, we're like a majority minority region, right? Like we have a lot of
Right.
Latinos, we have a lot of Black. You guys have a Hispanic caucus. You also have a Black caucus. Now let's talk a little bit more about the LGBT committee that
Sure.
you guys founded or started
Yep.
in Teamsters 1932. Why don't you
That's
tell me a
right.
little bit about that? Like with the beginning of Teamsters 1932, you were pretty essential to the founding, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting because when we first were affiliating to become Teamsters, Randy and I got to know each other. And what's really interesting is when I first met him in the parking lot at ISD where I worked, it was just me and all the guys. And they're like, yeah, come out and meet Randy Corrigan. I'm like, I don't want to affiliate. I don't want anything to do with this old association. If he wants to talk, just be, us being Teamsters, no problem. Well, anyways, I go out there and meet him, and right away we both look at each other and we're like, we know each other from somewhere. We still haven't placed it yet.
Oh, dang.
We haven't been able to figure it out, but we both were like, we know each other from somewhere. And wasn't a real woo-woo person prior to all this. I've changed a lot over the last 10 years, but it could have been in a past life. Like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, like there's a connection between the two of us, and it's a really cool connection. And I love the guy to death. But going back to the original question, thinking about that conversation in the parking lot, it was so powerful. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that night changed my life. And I really truly mean it. Like my entire life has been changed significantly since meeting Randy and getting involved in this union. And part of that was he came to me and wanted me to start the LGBTQ committee. Well, up until that point, before I was a Teamster, I was closeted at work
Dang.
because in my past jobs and my past experiences, people who were outed lost their job. And it always ended bad. And obviously they weren't union jobs that I'm speaking of. I did work in the private sector without a union. So I was always very closeted and terrified of people knowing that I was gay. And it was a hard way to live. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting, but
Yeah.
I did it. And I really, so when he asked me to form the committee, I was like, oh no, and he's like, Kathleen, he's like, I, I'm very proud of who you are. And, da, da, da. And he's like, this organization is about supporting people like you and, the underserved and the unrepresented and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, we need our members to know that we support them. And you need to know that we support you. And, anyways, he just made me feel like, again, I always tell people, even when he asked me to be president, I tried to talk him out of that too. But literally, I did. Seriously. But I believed in him until I can believe in myself. And to have someone like that in your life is really powerful. And just, I'm grateful every single day for that. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to trust this guy and I'm going to start this committee. And it literally, I feel like it saved me in a lot of ways because now I could be who I was meant to be and not be afraid to be who I am. The first flyers we made for the meetings that we had to put up on our union boards in our offices, I was terrified because I was a contact person,
Oh,
right?
wow. So everyone was gonna
I
know.
basically outed myself. So the funny part was there was another board member in the building with me at the time. And so folks were too afraid to come to me. So they would go to her and say, why is Kathleen the contact person? And she would say, well, why don't you ask Kathleen? She was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was awesome. She's a cool person. And to this day, we're still friends. And she just said, no, you can go talk to her because she knew how I felt. Since then, it's all worked out. But, it helped me. But I'm hoping that in helping me that it's helped others like me, like yourself, and like, Rommel, Sherry, like all the people that are part of our committee now.
Yeah.
It was like it. everyone needed to know that, hey, you belong, you matter, and you're just as important as anybody else. And, your sexual orientation is just something about you that's, a piece of paper definition, but it doesn't define you as a human being. But and it allowed me to have some tough conversations with coworkers that I wouldn't have necessarily had. And it's changed people's opinions about LGBTQ because they knew me before I was gay. And one person did tell me, I'm glad I didn't know that
Ah,
you were gay when I met you because I probably wouldn't have gotten to know you. And I would have missed out on such an amazing friendship, and I wouldn't have realized how ignorant I was being at the community as a whole.
that's
And thank you.
awesome. Changing
Right.
someone's mind without even knowing it, right?
I to me that's one of my I'm telling you, it has been one of my highlights of my life, knowing that I changed someone's mindset in their heart,
Wow. Yeah.
just by being who I was supposed to be and stop
Yeah.
pretending. You know what I
Being
mean?
yourself.
Living in my reality. But yeah. And then I've helped another gentleman accept his son. And now, because he had come to me and said, well, what am I supposed to do? And I said, just love him. Just love him. That's all you got to do. Just love him.
Yeah.
And he said that it was so profound and it had such an impact that now him and his son, they're closer than his other son who's straight.
Wow.
He and the gay son are as close as can be. And it's just makes me that, if I could only change one person's heart, all this would have been worth it, you know?
Yeah.
So I truly hope that I can do that on a level like, much larger than that. That would be awesome. Changing people's hearts, and then also LGBTQ community, like making them understand that love yourself, be who you are, don't pretend,
Yeah.
accept who you are. It's okay. We're pretty fucking awesome. I'm sorry, I cussed. My bad.
No, it's okay. We cuss all the time here. It's
Okay, okay.
it's okay. If
I
not,
wasn't
I'll bleep
sure.
you, but you're good. You're good.
Okay,
I
okay.
know on radio it's different.
Yeah, it's different.
But yeah, so yeah, it seems like you definitely wanted to make the world a better place, not only for yourself, but for other people, right?
Yeah.
And the whether it be through the union, through the LGBT committee, which, that's how I met you, was
Yep.
like, heck yeah, this is great. Let's
Yep.
continue building. I know, and you and Rommel and like, are you and Rommel the founding members, or
We are.
that's great.
Myself, Rommel, Sherry, Susan Lutuca was there from the beginning. Um, Karen Tinsley. But the original three were me, Sherry, and Rommel. And I remember I was like, oh, I was terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified, but man, so glad that we did it. And so glad that it's grown so much. Now our meetings are jam-packed and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of allies, which
A
really,
lot of
to me,
allies.
that is so critical. Like the allies are so important to our committee.
Like, what do you vision the future of the Teamsters 1932 LGBT committee? Like, in your time, what do you want your legacy to be with
Oh
the
man,
Teamsters?
that's deep. 1932 as a whole, or
Oh, as
LGBTQ?
I mean, I would imagine the LGBT committee, it feels like it's kind of like your baby, right?
Yeah,
And
it is. It is. You know what? I just want I want it to continue on, and I hope someday there really isn't a need for any of the committees, that we're all equal and everything's cool and everyone's, that's far off. I know it's
yeah,
wishful thinking, but I'm an optimist. So my wish is that it continues to reach and touch lives, and that we help families come together, because we've done that a lot with our committee.
yeah.
We've helped a parent on our committee with a trans son
Mhm.
work through some of because they just wanted their son to know that they love them no matter what. And so just being able to continue to help people, build those bridges and communicate with one another and love one another and respect one another, um, and just get beyond the whole sexual orientation thing. Because at the end
Yeah,
of the day, what any of us do in our bedrooms is no one else's business, quite frankly.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
just don't get hung up on that,
Yeah, and straight people be doing freakier things.
Okay.
No,
Trust me,
I'm sorry.
I have some friends. I don't want to know that,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly, exactly. Like, I've been
Yes.
told so many times, well, I just don't want to see two men kissing in the streets, whatever. And it's like, well, you know
Yes.
what? I don't want to see you being,
Yes.
misogynist with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, but yet here we are,
Yeah, but yeah, here exactly. That should be acceptable. Just that I just want people to continue what the work that we've been doing.
Yeah.
Continue to uplift the lives of the LGBTQ members and community and bring people together and like build that bridge. Like I get it. Religion has, done a lot of damage and I hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah.
And we just have to start thinking for ourselves and realizing that we're all humans at the end of the day. We're all in this spinning rock together. If we can learn to respect each other and treat each other with dignity, the world's going to be a much better place.
Yeah.
So I just hope that our committee will continue doing that. We've done a lot of good work, and I just want that to continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ones behind us, especially.
I totally can see it, like even just being a resource for, parents that are members,
Yes.
like
Yes.
when I know when a lot of people come out to their parents as, young kids or young adults, right?
Right.
What sometimes the parents don't know what to do. And the first
Right.
thing they turn to is like I don't know,
Right.
their favorite podcaster, Joe Rogan, or I don't know,
You
like
know what? And it goes back to my mom and dad. They went to PFLAG.
P flag.
And
That's great.
unfortunately, there's not very many PFLAGs around anymore. And so we're trying to help work with other organizations to bring it back in this region.
Yeah.
There is a PFLAG that's, they're barely hanging on out here in Riverside. It's an older couple and they really would love for someone else to take over. And unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet. But PFLAG was where my mom and dad went.
That's
And it was
great.
just a group of other, parents that were freaking out because their kid came out. And so the parents would talk to each other. And my mom and dad realized it wasn't anything that they did because all these families had the same story. They all, a lot of them, I think, were, I don't know if they're from our church, but they were very religious. And the kids went to parochial schools like I did. And so they did everything right. And it wasn't like they, led their kid down this path. It wasn't anything that they did. It was just who we were born to be.
Yeah.
And once my mom and dad were around other parents who were in the same boat, they were able to kind of go, okay, oh, we get it. It's not us. She was just born this way.
Yeah.
Duh. But thank God for that group. And I hope that our group would be that safe place for parents. And, like that woman at the picnic that year that came over and grabbed her daughter's arm aggressively when she was at our booth, LGBTQ booth. And I went around and I went outside and met up with her and said, look, ma'am, we're not here. We're not trying to change kids. We're not trying to recruit. That's not what this is. Your daughter came because she's, genuinely questioning. And I said, but we have a committee that meets on the third Friday of every month at the local. And I would love for you to come. I would be honored if you would just come and sit and listen. You don't have to talk, but we're here for you. So she has never shown up as of yet, but I'm holding out hope that someday she might remember the conversation and maybe she will show up and that would be awesome. And I'm telling you that would make it all worth it, right?
Yeah. My bet is maybe she does remember the conversation, but the pride won't let her, And it's sad. A lot of people are like that, but
Yep. The ego, the pride. I know.
yeah. So, well, that was about all that I had for you, Kathleen. I just had some like fun questions about like your favorite sports team. I know you're a big sports card collector.
Yeah.
And in the community, my community here, we have a lot of sports fans. I was gonna
Yep.
say unfortunately, but I'm just not a sports fan. But
That's all right. Hey,
but
that's okay.
but look,
I don't know if you can hear the baseball game in the background, but my wife watches MLB 24/7 during the
oh
season.
heck yeah.
We've got the package and we've got the other. I mean, anything you have to pay in order to watch baseball, we got. But,
So what's your
you
baseball
know,
team? Who's your favorite player?
you know what? Shohei Ohtani,
Okay.
because he's a class act. I love him as a human being, regardless that he's the unicorn of baseball, because he really is. He is the unicorn. They call, but he's just such a good man
Yeah.
too. Just a good guy. And I love how he always tips his hat to the umpire and the catcher. And you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Always checking on them when he makes a crazy swing and the ball goes crazy. And anyways, he's just a good man. And
Good
God, he's an amazing
sportsmanship.
player. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I love that stuff. Wemby, same with Wemby at the Spurs.
Uh,
He's the alien, they call him.
uh,
But he's just a good guy. And he's amazing. Like I'm glad to see amazing human beings
uh-huh.
elevated in their sport and people recognize them for how talented they are and they're such good people to boot. So makes me happy.
Yeah, sports is definitely one of those like things where if you're good, you deserve to be at the top. You're going to get to the top, right? You know,
Yep.
not a lot of things like that, especially in the workplace
Yep.
are like that. But
Yep.
um
Exactly.
what about basketball? Do you a basketball person? No?
Wemby from the Spurs.
Oh, oh my God, that's a
Yeah,
basketball
yeah,
team.
that's
I'm
okay. That's
dumb.
okay. That's okay. I've gotten into basketball because I have a nephew who's 13 and 6'4".
Oh, dang.
And yeah, his dad is 6'9" or 6'10". His dad got drafted into play for Portland, I think it was, and his grandpa played for the Rams. So he was
Wow.
destined to be a big guy.
Yeah.
But he loves basketball, which I'm happy with because I did not want him playing football because it just didn't want him to have the injuries that his grandfather
Oh,
had.
yeah. Can't
His
imagine.
grandfather died very young because
Wow.
of the sport. Yeah, it's very sad. But so now I'm into basketball because of him. So yeah, I'm starting to watch it and I'm trying to learn. Like, I still don't know a lot, but I'm learning. I'm trying.
Yeah. I
So,
was kind of getting into basketball because of Caitlin Clark.
oh,
Um,
Caitlin Clark. I love
but I
her.
don't know.
Okay.
I feel I saw
What?
something earlier today that she was being kind of unsportsmanlike. But I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a sports person, but it's just like, damn, this was a golden sports person, and
If that's the case, that's going to bother me too. Because that's when I start. I'm not kidding you. Like I will
yeah,
drop you like a hot potato if you start acting like an asshole. Like forget it. We're
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Like oh man, I'm trying to think of somebody off top. Oh, well, you probably don't remember him. Daryl Strawberry.
No,
He
but
was a Dodger.
is a Dodger
Well,
okay?
yeah, he was a Dodger, and he was my favorite player when I was a kid. And my dad took me and my brother to a game, and afterwards they were letting the kids on the field to go meet some of the players, and he was the famous guy at the time, so they had him out there on the field sitting on a he was in a convertible, if I remember correctly, sitting on it. Well, at the time, it was during his drug use. He was known to
Oh,
have drug problems. That's kind of his downfall. Well, apparently it was the height of his drug use when the time my dad took me and my brother, and I just remember him being really mean and we
oh,
get up to get our autographs, and I just was like, "Nah, I'm good." Like I didn't even get the autograph. I didn't want it, and
dang.
it just ruined me. And then I became a Daryl Strawberry hater after that. As a kid, I was like, "That guy sucks." And then I found out as an adult he was going through a really bad drug problem. So, but
Still doesn't
yeah, but
excuse,
no,
breaking
it's not an
children's
excuse.
dreams. It's like,
Yes, but
so
I will seriously, the minute someone starts acting like an idiot in public and being a bad representation of what a human being should be, I'm done. Like I'm like, nope, you've got elevated to this pedestal. You have an obligation. I'm sorry. I don't, maybe you didn't sign up for that because you signed up to be a baseball player or you signed up to be whatever, but you're on that pedestal now.
yeah,
So you need to own that pedestal and you need to live right and do right. And you need to be that. And if you can't, then get off of it because,
yeah.
sorry, too many eyes are on you and you have to be able to set
Oh,
that example.
like
So,
Megan the Stallion's boyfriend, I forget what his name was. He cheated on her and was like, I can't be faithful to you because I'm a
oh,
basketball player and this is the lifestyle I live. And it's like, how can you drop Megan the Stallion? But
right,
anyways,
right.
yeah, I get
Crazy.
it. It's the lifestyle. Everyone's throwing themselves at you. You're, throwing money at you, throwing drugs at you, throwing so I get it. But yeah.
You know what? I really have always said I hope I wouldn't be. I don't know if it was the way I was raised or if something that's just ingrained in me, but I've always hoped that I would always be that person that would never, stoop to that level and, let power or money or fame or, anything like that ever get to me. And that's definitely something that I see it happening all the time to people and they get a little bit of power and they become not everybody, but there are certain people that should never have it. They
Yeah.
don't even know it themselves. That's the
Oh,
sad part. Is
yeah.
they don't even see it. I do. And it's like, oh man, like you never should have power because you are not a good person when you have power.
Yeah.
Right?
You abuse it.
And
You don't know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Spider-Man's uncle said, with great power comes great responsibility, and
Okay, thank you. That was what I was trying to say, and I couldn't say it very, yeah, that was perfect.
yeah.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. With
Yeah.
great power comes great responsibility, and you have to, you have to remember that, like, and again, I'm not at the level of Megan the Stallion or Shohei Ohtani, and nobody knows who I am in the country, honestly. But for the 16,000 people that I represent, I take it very seriously too. So I'm always making sure that at work I go above and beyond.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
I
I
believe
always
it.
try to be that employee that literally, I'm on time, I leave on time, I don't screw around. I mean, I go above and beyond, honestly, because I know all eyes are on me as far as the work goes. Not anybody else outside the county cares, but as far as county, I know all eyes are on me. So I'm always making sure that I watch my P's and Q's, and I'm always trying to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
So I
You're
just feel like every elected leader should be the same way. All eyes are on you. Act right, do right.
last question.
Sure.
Would you run for public office or anything after being president of a local union? Because I think you have the skills.
Oh, I don't know, girl. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
could see you as mayor, senator, maybe. That would be
I,
cool.
you're awesome. I honestly, I've never wanted to even be in this position, honestly. I did it because again, love and respect Randy 100%. And he said, you're the one. I need you to do this. And I said, okay, whatever I can do to help with your mission of transforming the Inland Empire, because that's always been since day one. He wants to transform the Inland Empire. And I'm like, if I can be a part of that, hell yeah, sign me up, coach, put me in. But no, I'll be honest with you though, there's times where, because I know a lot of elected leaders who are amazing. We have our board of supervisors for the most part.
Yeah.
We have amazing, good human beings, and they give me hope.
Yeah.
They're there, they're doing the right things for the right reasons. Do we agree on everything? Do we see eye to eye on everything? No, and we don't have to.
I'm sure you probably don't want it to. Who wants yes
Yeah.
men? Who,
Yes, and that's the cool thing is when we can have our differences, but we can still work together and get things done for the betterment of other human beings.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a win in my book. We don't have to agree on everything. And at the end of the day, like, some of the wedge issues that people like to bring up when we endorse certain electeds, like let's say Kurt Hagman.
Yeah.
And, he's done so much for working people in this region. Like, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be able to retire before I'm 65 because of him. Because he helped Randy get that medical retirement.
Yeah.
He was the key in all of that, really. So, and for people to say, well, he's endorsed these, I don't know if it's Chad Bianco or, and he doesn't agree with abortion or something like that. And I said, look, as a board of supervisor, how is he going to affect abortion? He's not running for the Supreme Court. Come on.
Yeah, which
and
is
they're
the
like,
biggest
yeah,
threat to it.
Right. But it's interesting because when I put it in perspective to people and they ask me, how can you support someone like that? And I give them all the good examples of him. He's done a lot of great stuff. And then they bring up these things and I'm like, but how is that even relevant as a board of supervisor? And they're like, well, it's not. I'm like, then why would you bring that into the conversation? Yeah. Of course we can find things about one another. You can find things about me that you don't like, guaranteed.
Oh yeah,
but,
I'm sure.
But why look out for those things? Like Randy always says to me, you can't be busy building and tearing something apart at the same time. So pick one. Either you're going to tear shit apart the rest of your life and be negative, or you're going to be positive and start building and fixing and making things better. So pick your path.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've done. So the short answer to all that is, if I ever needed to run, if it was something that was necessary, as much as I don't want to do it, I would do it.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean? Just same as when I became president. I if someone came to me and it was a clear cut picture that I can make effective change for the positive, and I had that ability, I would absolutely put my little, wee on the back burner, literally, and I would do it. But if there was a way that I could make a positive change and do something good, I would absolutely step up. But no, I don't have any desire. I do not want to run. My wife is like wanting me to retire tomorrow and just get in a van and just start traveling with our dogs. So I know. So it's like every day she's like, when are you going to retire? I'm like, not yet. I still got work to do. There's still a lot of things I want to see accomplished in this next contract we're going to be going into here right now. There's still a lot of things we need to fix for people. And a lot of good things that we can do with these great boards. We have great electeds right now. And I want to be able to work with them to make this county what it always should have been. We're the largest county in the country. We should be the best and the most productive and the most proud county in the country. We're not there, but we can get there.
Oh yeah.
But we can only do it by working together. It's got to be all of us working together hand in hand. Because there's a lot of issues that got to be dealt with, and not one group of people are going to be able to solve each problem. But if we all work together and put our little, stupid stuff to the side and just start getting to work, we can do it. And we're doing it. Like I've seen positive changes in this region. Like over the last 10 years, like, holy cow, people want it. I'm getting phone calls from people that I used to work with in Orange County. They're like, hey, we want to come work there. We've heard about your contract. We read about it in the paper because it gets published in the paper.
That's awesome.
So I get those phone calls and they go, well, holy shit, we didn't think you guys would ever get medical retirement back. Holy crap. You guys built your own trust. We didn't think they would ever go for that. Well, yeah, prior boards of supervisors probably wouldn't have done it. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
But we've got good electeds that are there because they really want to make positive changes. And like I said earlier, when you're genuine about wanting to do things for the right reasons, you will prevail.
Yeah.
And we just had a big victory I can't really talk about just yet at my department. But I was telling everybody, they're like, oh, this is the county. They're never going to do what needs to be done, blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, don't tell me that, because I'm of the mindset of when you're on the side of right, you're going to prevail. So we're going to prevail because we're right. Yeah. And I'm not going to give up. And that's just who I am in nature. It's like, if I know something needs to be fixed and it's wrong, I'm going to fight to the death. Like we're going to go round and round, and we're going to, yeah.
But that's exactly what I would expect to hear from a union president. So,
hey, no, I was just going to say, you know what? My dad always told me growing up, I always would come back from fighting. You know, I had a big win in private sector, another story for another day. But I remember coming home and I was in my 20s and I was exhausted and I was crying and I was like, why me, Dad? And he says, like, that's who you are. That was your lot in life. You were given this gift to stand up for others and to fight. So you better damn well do it. Yep. And so ever since that conversation, I think I was 22 years old, my whole life has just been in that direction. Every time I see something, I'm like, oh, like I'll be out in the store and I'll see some guy talking crazy to a girl. I'm like, here we go. But I got to say something. Like, I can't just stand back and let that happen. It's like, no, I'm born to fight for others and to tell somebody when they need to check themselves before they wreck themselves, so to speak. So.
Yeah. Damn. So I appreciate you taking your time out of your very busy day.
I appreciate you. I'm honored and touched that you want me to come on your podcast. And again, I just hope that I'm able to just relay anything to somebody that's going to be meaningful to them, give them a little bit of hope that the world is not all bad. There's a lot of good out there, and we're going to continue doing the good with our LGBTQ committee, with the unions, and just in general. We're just going to all get together and continue to roll up our sleeves, and good will prevail.
Yeah, I think making face-to-face connections, again, going back that third space, you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We can do it. We can get more, love, more interconnected, more, happy society. But
you got it, sister.
All right. Anything else you'd like to plug before we say goodbye?
It's been an honor and a privilege every day to wake up and to be in this position and to be able to affect change and be a part of that. All the amazing stewards that we have, business agents, members like you. It's just an honor, man. Seriously, like I sometimes have to wake up and say, why me? But you know what? Why not? And I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and just hope that I'm doing the right things for the right reasons always. And, just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
But thank you. I really, truly appreciate the opportunity, Angelina. Yeah. No, I love your podcast.
Thank you. You're welcome back anytime. I'd love to have more conversations. So
hey, maybe I'll come back after the contract so we can talk about
that. Update. Okay. Heck yeah.
Yes, because I can give you guys some little tidbits of like maybe the little sparring and some of the drama.
Insider information.
I'll take good notes and I'll come back so I can give some little tidbits.
Okay.
All right,
Kathleen. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
So that was Kathleen Brennan, president of Teamsters Local 1932. And I told you at the beginning, this little girl would have idolized the hell out of her. After this conversation, I mean it even more so. Kathleen spent years closeted at work, terrified of being outed. She couldn't trust the people around her to let her keep her job if they knew this about her. Then, a union organizer she barely knew looked at her and effectively said, "Unions are the protection you need from being fired for any dumb reason." Because it really is just some BS reason that people lose their jobs every day. Maybe you've seen this. Maybe you've experienced it firsthand. But this whole way of being a quote-unquote productive member of society is ruthless. I'm not asking for special treatment. Most people who see life worth living are not asking for special treatment. Those who see the challenges of life as something to overcome, not to beat you down, want a fair chance at living their life, a fair chance at finding love, a fair chance at creating a life together. Isn't that what America's about? The freedom to pursue happiness, the chance, not for equal outcome, but for equal opportunity. We know this is a far dream from the reality we currently live. People still suffer in and from America every day. Global markets are ruthless. Globalization has just made that even more exemplified. There's always going to be a struggle to get the most out of what you are paying for, no matter if you're the employer or the employee. Ultimately, isn't that why we still have child labor across the world? There is always someone who can quote unquote do it for less. I don't know what the solution to this immense greed that is rampant in our society is. We can start by identifying this imbalance in power, calling it out where we see it, and demanding change happen. Figuratively creating more seats at the table of power where that authority is divided up between each chair. That's what unions can do. Not just negotiate a contract, not just protect your paycheck. It forces you into a relationship with people you might otherwise never interact with. It teaches you how to fight for someone who is not you. Kathleen agreed with calling union halls a great third space. Your home is first, your job is second, and the union hall, that's where you remember you're not alone, even when you feel isolated everywhere else. And look, I know, a lot of people hear union, they think dues, politics, drama. Maybe you work in a warehouse, maybe you work at a front desk, maybe you work at a county office, and you think, you don't need this, none of this is for you. Well, that's exactly what Kathleen thought as well. And now look at her. She's the president of the union. So here's my ask. If you work in the Inland Empire or anywhere, honestly, and if you have a chance to join a union, do it. If you're already in one, show up, run for something. If you're not, find the people who are organizing and ask them for help. I promise you, they will be more than happy to help you organize. Because the way I see it, the only way to fix things is to talk and work with each other a whole lot more. I'm Angelina. This was my conversation with Kathleen Brennan, the first of many to come, so be sure to subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and remember, once you start fighting for the person next to you, you won't be able to stop, just like Kathleen. See you in the next one.